Namaste and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. और आज का स्पेशल पैनल है द 5 का. You'll see 5 great people from USA discussing about various things. आज का topic you all know is Vivek Ramaswamy and who doesn't like him. And without getting delayed, please do like, share, subscribe, and let us know your feedback. And you can ask questions here and let us know what you think about the topic. Before I start, the 25th August is coming very close. It's just 2 weeks left, and you're all welcome to attend the Lit Fest in San Diego. So let's get started. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
So, Vibhuti ji, before we start off, क्योंकि आप screen में next ही है मेरे. So, what is your view on who doesn't like Vivek Ramaswamy today? Because we see a lot of Christian pastors talking that he is a Hindu, and it's like I don't want to sound racist, but it's like a typical profile is the same: that Republican, churchgoer, and is colorless. It's a white background, and they are the ones who are saying that Vivek Ramaswamy is not a Christian, therefore he should not be elected. So, give it to you.
Namaste and thank you everybody for this particular event. And who doesn't like Vivek Ramaswamy? I don't like Vivek Ramaswamy. Actually, I love him. I love him because he's doing something at the age of 37, which many of us could never even dream of or think of. The man has actually, proven that American dream is real. So who doesn't like him? In my opinion, it will always be the question. Nobody likes everybody all the time. So Obama was not liked, Bush was not liked, Clinton was not liked, Senior Bush was not liked. Who is liked actually? So you have to choose who your voters are going to be. So the question here is very important, but then cannot ignore who don't like you. Vivek will continuously face one particular challenge. That while Hindu nationalism is bad, the Christian nationalism is good. The freedom of religion gets exposed here. So, we all have seen the person, the way he has talked about his own policies and prescriptions, and you have also seen people who are opposed to him. And as he rightly told in one of the very good broadcasts, PBD broadcast, that he is not fighting for Chief Pastor of America. He is fighting for the President of America. And even that lady who asked that question about Hindu and Christian belief, she said that with your beliefs and values, you are more Christian than many Christians around this country. So Christians have a dilemma here. That many Christians will believe that he is the right guy to lead the country. So with this, what happens is that the entire value system of America itself comes to test. Remember Biden telling about Obama, oh, he's a good looking, speaks good English. Think about it from that point of view. So in my opinion, he embodies the philosophy of make America great again with yes, we can attitude, because he's perpetually giving you solutions. He's not throwing solutions right from the top of his hat. He's actually saying how some things can be done. So you have a unique opportunity of a professional who believes in solving problems and showing you the path. It may be very difficult for politicians to accept that, because there is one last word which I wanted to add for everybody's consumption, that as you and I are all professionals in this country, we always encounter problems in our daily life, in our work life. Problems will always come about, right? We attend to the problem, we move on to the next stage. Because as the famous saying goes, The end of a problem is the big end of the problem is the beginning of a new problem, right? But the politician continues to thrive on perpetuating the problem. And that's the reason today we don't have solutions to comprehensive immigration reform, which I have been hearing since 1991. We haven't won our war on terror since 2001. We haven't won our war on drugs, or the abortion issue remains unanswered. Is it because politicians don't have brain? I believe outstanding people have entered the portals of the Congress and the White House. But you mean to say they don't have solutions? But because they like to perpetuate the problem, make it tough, make it so impossible that they can play to the various vote bank. That's what my opening statement would be.
No, thank you, Vibhutiji. And I put the statements out, and the pastor was Kuneman, Kuneman or Kunman or whatever how you pronounce it. They have never spared my pronunciation of my name also. So Kuneman. Okay. Anyway, Desh Kapoorji, please.
So I think I agree with what Vibhuti ji was saying, and I think we have only focused on one side of the entire spectrum. The other side is the black crowd as well. So now, if you look at what happened at the Breakfast Club, and what happened at Don Lemon, and what happened at other even David Pakman on the left side, but the hatred that Vivek faced at the hands of Don Lemon and Teslin Figaro on Breakfast Club was unprecedented. I don't think that kind of personal attack and personal hatred and bigotry has been pushed at him even from the whites, white nationalists or Christian nationalists. So I think we should look at it from across the spectrum of people who are going to be hurt by his agendas and by the positions that he's taking, which need to be taken. Actually, if you look at all the positions that he's taking, they are the ones which were waiting to be championed by someone in the US, but nobody was actually doing it because nobody was quote unquote qualified to do it. He's not white. That is why he can actually go ahead and talk about the affirmative action and abolishing that. He is not black, so he can also talk about the other things, that blacks just won't talk about. He can also talk about the LGBTQ, the woke, industrial complex and all those things, because he himself is a person of color. So there are a lot of things that are going right for him, because of which he can take the positions that he's taking. And more importantly, the arguments that he's giving are very, very clear, straight, and inconvertible, actually. Like you cannot fight against those arguments because they are not ideological. They're actually backed by facts, by evidence, by information that is very, very hard to confuse or to even argue against. So in that sense, the amount of investment that has been done in the woke industrial complex, the military industrial complex, the intelligence complex, the deep state, the managerial class, as he talks about, as well as the whole affirmative action industry that has been created, because of which there is institutional discrimination that goes on. And so all those investments that have been made are at stake if he comes to the power, and like in the White House. So there will be a more concerted, stronger, and more vicious attacks going forward. So all his positions, all his beliefs will be up for grabs, actually, for debate and all those things. So this is just a beginning. And I've seen, actually, we like in America, we keep on talking about discrimination and racism as if it is only a white phenomenon, but it is not just a white phenomenon. I think it is across the board, both from whites as well as blacks. At least for the immigrants. For the immigrants who come to this country, they face racism from both the sides, and probably more from the blacks than the whites, because it seems to um, it seems to one that like we immigrants are taking over their jobs, their work, and all those things, and like we are doing well in schools, we are doing well in the business and all those things, while the blacks have not been able to live up to that level which uh, their entire civil movement had actually promised. And this whole idea of, well, we were enslaved and that is why we are facing all those things, is now being questioned from within itself. And I think it's a good thing that it is being questioned, because a black person coming from Africa, say Kenya or Nigeria, is not going to have the same kind of mindset that a black person, say, from Chicago would have. Because the Kenyan or Nigerian does not believe that he is inferior in any way. And he or she can actually go head to head with any of the persons, any college like mate or a business colleague, in terms of skills and talent and intelligence and everything else. So this whole narrative that has been sold to the blacks, that they are in some way inferior and that is why they need protection, is a classic way of how the victims or perceived victims are given that victim card and forever damned, like by the dominant class. And that is what is hand, because like it is a good political tool, a victim card, and then a forever damnation, like is a fantastic tool to keep the political power in like going on in perpetuity. And that is what is being questioned, should be questioned, and a new way, new path should be actually be created for the blacks as well within America, so that they can live up to the dream that Martin Luther King and other people actually saw. And it is not something that is not achievable, like it is. So those are my thoughts on this.
Utsavji and then Sharadji.
Well, one thing I must say, and I completely agree with Vibhutiji and Deshji, he both touched two aspects of the issues that Vivek is facing as a challenge. But one thing I must say that Vivek has done very differently from most candidates I have seen in American presidential primaries across the board, that he has turned every challenge into an opportunity. And that is very appreciable, in my opinion. That is something that sets Vivek apart from many other challengers that he faces, not just within the Republican Party, but also amongst all sides, including President Biden. Every time Vivek has been challenged, and he will continue to be challenged because his positions are very different and very unique, Vivek turns that challenge into an opportunity through his intellect and through his articulation. So whatever Vivek Ramaswamy has said so far on all sides, whether it was the Breakfast Club or the pastors who attacked him, the responses Vivek gave actually got him more followers. In fact, his interview at the Breakfast Club got him far more African American support than he could have ever expected. I was actually looking at many responses, organic responses that came up from within the African American community and their bloggers on YouTube in support of Vivek after what he faced at the Breakfast Club. And I think that is what is propelling him to where he is right now. And his popularity is growing. Everybody knows that, everybody accepts that. And that is, I think, a very unique thing that is happening right now, far better than anybody expected. Secondly, I think Vivek has the gift of knowledge. When he spoke at our Hindu Action gala in the beginning of the when we started this project, around May we had our gala, Actually, Vibhuti ji also spoke there. Uh, Vivek was very clear about taking pride in being Hindu. And one thing he understands is that the depth of philosophical diversity that Hindu philosophies, Hindu darshanas offer, gives him the flexibility and the knowledge to actually consume many of the good aspects of Abrahamic systems that many Abrahamicists have been talking about. So he literally has been digesting some of the good aspects of Abrahamic systems out there using the depth and the diversity of Hindu darshanas. And that is very unique in a American born candidate because he takes pride in those Hindu philosophical darshanas, and he's very open about it. He knows it and he's talking about it. That makes me very happy. I think most of us are discussing this because we take a lot of satisfaction in the fact that after a really long time in American politics, you see an American Hindu and an Indian American who actually takes pride in being a Hindu. A far, far cry from the days of Bobby Jindal and Nikki Haley. That is very satisfactory. And I think Vivek, if nothing else, has set the ground for our children to emulate and understand where he comes from so that they can take pieces of that emulation and project it in their personal lives. And that is something to be, from my perspective, I think that is the unique paradigm shift that Vivek brings to the table here.
Sharadji.
Namaste, Shrotagan. So, for the larger audience, I'll keep this in Hindi for the opening statement. So, uh, मोस्ट ऑफ द श्रोतागण सोच रहे होंगे कि ये विवेक रामास्वामी कौन है। हम लोग स्ट्रेट अवे अमेरिकन पॉलिटिक्स की बात कर रहे हैं, क्या है ये, विवेकानंद की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं। तो अमेरिका दो पार्टी सिस्टम है और यहाँ पर विद इन द पार्टी इनका एक प्राइमरी होता है और इस प्राइमरी में डिफरेंट डिफरेंट कैंडिडेट, जैसे कि कांग्रेस पार्टी ऑफ इंडिया विल हैव राहुल गांधी एंड शहजाद पूनावाला एज अ कैंडिडेट एंड विभूति जी के बड़े भाई संजय झा भी उसमें आ सकते हैं। उसी तरह से बीजेपी में मोदी जी, अमित शाह, योगी जी। सो दीज आर ऑल कैंडिडेट्स एंड फाइनली इनमें प्राइमरी इलेक्शन होता है और वो एक चुन के आते हैं और वो फिर लड़ते हैं बिटवीन टू पार्टीज फॉर नेशनल इलेक्शन। सो ये अमेरिका का एक स्ट्रक्चर है, राइट, वेरी क्रूड एंड ब्रीफ वे में। तो विवेक रामास्वामी एक 37 ईयर्स का एक भारतीय अमेरिकन, इंडियन ओरिजिन का एक अमेरिकन इस बार इलेक्शन में आया। ही इज जस्ट 37 ईयर्स ओल्ड। बायोटेक इंडस्ट्री में उसने काफी नाम कमाया है। ही हैज अराउंड $600 million वर्थ ऑफ एसेट ही हैज बिल्ड एज पर इंटरनेट एंड काफी अच्छी जगह से पढ़ा है, लाइक हार्वर्ड से, येल से वगैरह वगैरह। एंड सो दिस इज द होल पिक्चर। सो आई डोंट वांट कि मैं विवेक का एज अ स्पोक्स पर्सन बात करूंगा, मैं एज अ एनालिस्ट देख रहा हूँ ये पूरे घटनाक्रम जो हो रहा है। एंड एज अ हिंदू अमेरिकन मैं कहाँ स्टैंड करता हूँ, हाउ आई कैन रिलेट विद ऑल दिस इवेंट। सिंस इट इज द ओपनिंग स्टेटमेंट, आई विल कीप टू दैट। तो सबसे पहला है कि विवेक के पहले इंडियन अमेरिकन और लोग आए कि नहीं और अक्रॉस पार्टी लाइन आए कि नहीं। तो रिपब्लिकन पार्टी में बॉबी जिंदल एक, वो भी यंग थे, उन्होंने काफी काम किया था अपने स्टेट के लिए। निकी हेली आई और इवन फ्रॉम फार जो हवाई की गवर्नर हैं थी, वो ऑफिशियली हिंदू थी। लेकिन बाकी जो इंडियन अमेरिकन थे उनको सभी को अमेरिकन पॉलिटिक्स में अपना स्पेस बनाने के लिए अपने रिलीजन, अपने फेथ को छोड़ना पड़ा। सो इवन दो अमेरिका जो है एपिटोम ऑफ सेकुलरिज्म है और लिबर्टी चैंपियन है और रिलीजन का हमें राइट देता है, लेकिन टू बी एक्सेप्टेड एज अ पॉलिटिकल लीडर इनको अपना रिलीजन बदलना पड़ा। विवेक एक यूनिक केस है, विवेक रामास्वामी एक यूनिक केस है जो कि रिपब्लिकन पार्टी से लड़ रहा है प्राइमरी, जिसने अपना ओपनली, ही इज नॉट ओनली चेंज, उसने अपने फेथ से स्टिक नहीं किया। इनफैक्ट वो हर एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे बहुत प्राउडली बोल रहा है कि वो हिंदू अमेरिकन है, ही हिज फेथ इज हिंदू एंड ही इज नॉट ओनली शाइंग एंड पासिंग अ स्मॉल स्टेटमेंट। कल के मैंने एक इंटरव्यू में सुन रहा था, उसने बोला कि नॉट ओनली माई सेल्फ, मेरा बच्चा जो भी हुआ है जिसके लिए मैं ये पॉलिटिक्स में आया हूँ वो भी इस फेथ को प्रैक्टिस करता है और मेरी वाइफ भी इस फेथ को प्रैक्टिस करती है। दिस इज लाइक ही इज मेकिंग अ स्टेटमेंट। ये from an analyst perspective and Indian American perspective is a very very big thing for me, and that's how I got attracted to him. And doing some research, उसका एक हार्वर्ड नहीं, उसका एक हाई स्कूल, आई थिंक ही वेंट टू अ जेसुइट हाई स्कूल। उस स्कूल का एक वीडियो है व्हेन ही वाज 18 इयर्स ओल्ड, वो इंटरनेट पे चल रहा है काफी। उसमें भी उसने 15 मिनट के स्पीच में बोला कि आई एम अ हिंदू अमेरिकन। दिस हिंदू वर्ड वो 18 इयर्स के एज से बोल रहा है, तो इट्स नॉट व्हाट ही हैज चोजन फॉर सम काइंड ऑफ अ पोजिशनिंग हिमसेल्फ कि हम सुपर माइनॉरिटी हैं वगैरह वगैरह। तो फ्रॉम एनालिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव दिस इज अ वेरी बिग फेनोमेना। मेरी ये पुस्तक है जो मैंने कोविड के समय लिखा था। उसमें मैंने ये लिखा था कि इट्स नॉट एक्चुअली अ वॉर बिटवीन इंडिया एंड अमेरिका। मैंने लिखा था कि 2030 में बहुत से इंडियन अमेरिकन ऐसे आएंगे जो अमेरिका के मेन स्ट्रीम पॉलिटिक्स में घुसेंगे। कॉर्पोरेट में तो झंडा गाड़ी दिया है, कॉर्पोरेट में हम लोग एज एन इंडियन अमेरिकन अपने आप को प्राउडली रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं अपने कल्चर और अपने फेथ को लेकर, लेकिन पॉलिटिक्स में एक्सेप्टेंस अभी तक नहीं हुआ था। एंड विवेक इज द गाय जो मेरे इस बुक के हिसाब से 5-6 साल पहले आ गया। मैं 2030 के अराउंड सोच रहा था कि ऐसे कुछ ऐसे शख्स आएगा, बट विवेक हैज कम नाउ। नाउ ऑब्वियसली विवेक पे अटैक होगी, विवेक के रिलीजन पे अटैक होगी, राइट। उसके बिकॉज अमेरिका जिस पार्टी को रिप्रेजेंट करता है उसका मेन वोट बैंक है इज अ चर्च बेस्ड कंजर्वेटिव पीपल, वेरी गुड पीपल, बट उनका एक फेथ है एंड वी शुड रिस्पेक्ट दैट फेथ। नाउ फ्रॉम एनालिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव मैं उसको इस तरह से देखता हूँ कि जब इंडिया के राइट द पर्सन द कंट्री फ्रॉम वेयर वी वर born, इंडिया के जब पॉलिटिशियंस चाहे प्राइम मिनिस्टर हो या फॉरेन मिनिस्टर हो, व्हेन दे कम टू अमेरिका दे हैव गिवन लॉट ऑफ sermons इन व्हाइट हाउस बोथ बाय आवर इंडियन अमेरिकन वाइस प्रेसिडेंट कमला हैरिस और दी इनका जो पूरा इकोसिस्टम है हमारा यहाँ पे, कि भाई आप लोग अपने माइनॉरिटी को अच्छा से ट्रीट नहीं कर रहे हैं, आप लोग मेजोरिटेरियन हो रहे हैं, ब्ला ब्ला ऑल दिस थिंग्स। But same logic doesn't apply on Vivek. Vivek is been asked question by the majority American, जो उनका faith Christianity है, which is perfectly fine. Actually, I am so happy कि वो लोग इसको obvious कर रहे हैं and because you know इसका repercussion होगा when India and America relationship होगा तो Vivek is the guy who will make lot of changes not only in America but the international level पे भी इसका बहुत बड़ा impact होने वाला है, which is कि एक अगर मेजॉरिटेरियन कोई कंट्री है और किसी फेथ को मान रहा है तो इट्स वी डोंट हैव टू बी ऑन गिल्ट एंड ऑलवेज गिविंग एन एक्सक्यूज। यूरोपियन सेकुलरिज्म नहीं चलेगा, उनको भी रिस्पेक्ट करना है। सो विवेक इज राइटली सेइंग कि क्यों हम, इवन दो ही इज अ हिंदू बाय फेथ, बट लॉट ऑफ थिंग जो क्रिश्चियनिटी में है, स्पेशली जेसुइट वाले सिस्टम के जो लोग आते हैं उसमें है कि 84 लाख योनियों में, हमारे हिंदू में 84 लाख योनियों से होते हुए हम एक ह्यूमन फॉर्म में पैदा हुए जो बहुत क्लोज है गॉड के गॉड के एक स्मॉलेस्ट यूनिट के हिसाब से, राइट। क्रिश्चियनिटी में भी वही कहता है कि हम लोग गॉड का ही एक इमेज है। तो ही इज वेरी वेल रिलेटिंग ऑल दोस थिंग्स एंड दिस इज अ प्लेटफॉर्म वेयर वो सनातन को भी बेच रहा है इन अ वेरी वेरी प्राउड एंड हाईएस्ट प्लेटफॉर्म पे। So I'm very happy कि Vivek Ramaswamy as a phenomena उदय हुआ and it will have a huge impact on the Indian American. So this will be my opening statement. Aditya ji to you.
Yeah. Thank you all the panelists. uh, एक विभूति जी एक क्वेश्चन आता है फिर, इज द होल आइडिया ऑफ यूएसए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज ओवर, क्योंकि कंट्री रन्स ऑन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एज ए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल रिपब्लिक। वहाँ पे इफ यू लुक एट द, मैं स्क्रीन शेयर करूंगा व्हेन यू स्टार्ट स्पीकिंग, कि द अमेरिकन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फर्स्ट अमेंडमेंट says the state shall not make, the actual words are the state the actual words are, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Okay, so the first is religion, and also there are other sections of the constitution where American Constitution says every person born in the USA, and Vivek Ramaswamy is clearly born in Ohio, and every person born in the USA can become the president of United States. Now, उसपे बहुत सारे arguments हैं, जब विवेक रामास्वामी बोलता है वैल्यूज पे, तो क्रिश्चियन ग्रुप्स बोलते हैं नो, अबॉर्शन इज आवर, वी आर एंटी अबॉर्शन, मींस प्रो लाइफ इज आवर वैल्यू. Now, pro life can be for the life of the animals. Like, I strongly oppose cow slaughter permanently. I want to cow slaughter to go away from the United States. This is my personal view. But the liberty of life is for every single person born in the USA, whether it's an animal or human. But humans are definitely very important for in our society. But pro-life is not a Hindu concept; it's a Christian concept. Now, second thing is anti-abortion. He says, how can he say that? That's our platform. So, do you think that the whole with this kind of debate, and I'm not able to put all the points across. And Vibhutiji, you are a better communicator. So, so the point is, why these kind of questions are being raised connected to the faith. And one more logic I heard was, Obama was not a Christian president. This is also I heard. And comparing Obama to Vivek Ramaswamy is actually, I think it should not be done, because they are two different things completely, two different people. So, what is your view, Vibhuti? Yes.
You know, it is sometimes what happens is कि संविधान में बनता है, पॉलिटिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट है, उसके बाद उसकी टेस्टिंग होती है. How does the whole thing get tested? So, the constitutional validity of the First Amendment gets tested in scenarios like this. If you are talking about freedom of religion, but you are condemning somebody who doesn't belong to the original faith, sometimes, you have to think about it. Who was the Constitution written for? It was definitely written, when it was written, for the benefit of those people who came here. They were not people like you and I. And that's the woke agenda they are talking about, is that this particular thing is not meant for, it was not even designed to conceive the idea for people who were not here. So, as P.J. O'Rourke, the famous satirist, once told in Waldorf Astoria, and I was there in that event, when he said that United States will forever have a problem coming up with a comprehensive immigration reform or a sensible foreign policy, because every goddamn American is a foreigner. So the question here is very, very significant, is that the constitutional itself gets tested. Are you really embracing all kinds of ethnicity that is coming to America? And we all know it, that because of the population and demographic shift, there is already a fear or apprehension that America may not be a white country come 2070 or 2050. So the white people are definitely worried. But that's what is interesting about this scenario. So I totally agree with you that you and I are proud Americans, but those people, and it's across right and left, it's across right and left, who do not consider you and I as American. That's the problem, because we are all foreigners. It's a challenge. It's a challenge that the politics will have to deal with. To use a phrase, which is sometimes these days it's become difficult to even use a phrase. So bringing Mr. Obama as a president, they got the proverbial monkey off the back, isn't it? America got the proverbial monkey off the back. We have made a black also a president, right? The challenge is they have not yet made women a president yet, right? That's the reason why so many people were upset when Hillary lost to Trump, that a woman was denied because of the fanaticism of the right wing, that they did not want a woman to be the president. That's why women were against President Trump. So this is a very tricky situation. It is not going to be solved in a moment, because somewhere along the line, Americans will have to realize that people like you and I also contribute immensely to the variety that America has become. And it's a critical element. I don't want to say more, because we are five of us, all of us must speak. And Aditi ji, I want your thought on this very question that you asked me.
No, no, very, very valid point. And I feel the idea of USA is in danger when some supremacist groups or faith-based groups say that they are more American than others, then my natural question comes in: what happened to Native Americans? Why are they not the presidential candidate? Because they are the only original Americans with the original religion and culture. So my question comes over there. So the founding fathers, we all know the history, that they came from the, they know the history of struggle, that how much they have to struggle here to establish a country, and also running away from Europe to come here, escaping the church in Europe and coming here and again creating a church-based government. This sounds very illogical to me. So I think they established a state where every religion can thrive, because they knew that if they make it religious, then America cannot grow. And America is successful today because it has kept religion out of the politics. And even though Christian groups have tried from the very beginning to be calling that it's a Christian nation or Judeo-Christian values, well, Hindu values are same in all religions, by the way.
Yeah. Right.
So, Desh Kapoorji, please.
So, the thing is, America, in my view, is no longer a country anymore. It's actually become a corporation. And the corporation is being run by different interests, different lobbies, different groups. And like what has happened is that, we talk about constitution, we talk about democracy, we talk about all the values, but those are actually have been weaponized in order to perpetuate the whole control mechanism that goes on, right? And I think like one of the reasons why, so there will be people like who will go and rally against like Vivek from the religious standpoint. So those kind of people will be there, but at the same time, this insistence on religion and the space that Vivek is getting now has increased for him, and the insistence on religion has gone down because, like after all, like his like main platform has been Fox, Tucker Carlson, and all those. A few years back, you could have never imagined that a Hindu American would get such a big mileage there. But he is getting, and he is being pushed forward, for all his agendas. And the reason is because it is a very critical point in the American life itself and the country itself. 5 years from now or 10 years from now, if the current establishment, which includes a combination of FBI, the intelligence agencies, the Democratic Party, and the bureaucrats, as well as a military industrial complex, if this entire, and the corporations like Facebook and all those things, if they continue to do what they have been doing, then there will be no space left for anybody else. Republicans are now at the critical juncture where if they do not win now, they will be pushed out completely in the next, like after the next elections, because the swagger and the ruthlessness with which Biden administration has been silencing everybody else. Like if you look at what happened at RFK Jr.'s hearings, and all the Twitter files and everything else, the Hunter Biden controversy, it is very apparent that like we have on our hands a very terminal fight right now as Americans, because if the Americans do not fight this fight properly, those who think they are on the right side or the correct side of the establishment currently will actually realize that they have been cannon fodder, and that's the problem. Some people have realized, some people have not. A lot of people who are actually gravitating towards Vivek are people who call themselves undecided, right? Then neither left nor right, neither Democratic nor Republicans, and they think Vivek is making sense in a lot of things, and he's for the first time they are seeing someone who is talking a non-lobbyist like lobbyist language, because generally all the politicians talk that politically correct talk, except for Donald Trump, who was actually at the very fringe end of how to even articulate things. So here is a person who's far more articulate, far more rational, logical, informative, and intelligent, who's coming at all those topics in a very different way. And like people are hungry right now to find a way out of this quagmire that we all are in. And if we do not find a way out, they will they may not even be a way out after 5 years, because the situation will become so bad, because the control mechanisms that are being used within the US are also being extrapolated outside, and we can talk about that in a like different program. But things are accelerating quite a lot. So I think it's time to make some decisions, and that is why a lot of people who are traditionally Christian nationalists are actually leaving aside their religious differences with Vivek, and going ahead and backing him up, because there is no other person who can actually fight their fight better than him. And that's my thought.
So, Sharadji, please.
Oh, the sequence has been broken. But yeah, I agree with DSG's lot of views. In fact, the Vivek Ramaswamy is the combination of Ronald Reagan, Trump from the charisma perspective within the GOP, and also Obama from very far. So this is how Americans have started seeing him, and that's why he is now almost catching up, or almost number two with DeSantis, who's having a very bad campaign run so far. So Vivek Ramaswamy के पहले, when COVID came, we have seen how deep state uh, manipulated and did a lot of things which was totally against the fundamentals of American Constitution and the idea of America. The three tech companies, they ran the Twitter, the Google, and the Facebook. The way they manipulated, that scar is still in the American mind, whether you are a Democrat, Republican, or independent. So people were looking for some solution. The problem was the option was very bad. Like, from Democrat perspective, it was Trump on the other side. So they definitely don't like him. And then for the Republican, well, uh, Trump will not win because the way deep state has entered. So Vivek definitely came as a refreshing a person who is talking the same thing which we all had in our mind, right? Like whether it's the IRS monopoly, whether it's the FBI monopoly, whether it's this teachers union, and through teachers union, all the wokeism kind of ideas introduced in American society, and then the entire education system of America. And some of the data which Vivek was giving on his channel was that in a blue state like DC and others area, Baltimore, I think all those Virginia, those areas, each public school spends almost 40,000 US dollars per student. Imagine, I don't even pay that much for my college going son, and $40,000 for a primary school, or the school level funding by the government, the taxpayer money. It goes to that the same swamp which all these politicians since George W. Bush have been saying, that they want to drain the swamp. So all these talks by politicians is good, but it's not happening. And here is this guy, whatever faith he has, he's talking about all these things in a very right way. Now once he gets into the power, whether Vivek will also become a part of an ecosystem, or he can really clean up the FBI, the teachers union, the IRS, the deep state, even the technology companies. That is yet to be seen. But he has been mentioning that, he doesn't get money from the lobbyist. So that means he doesn't have a pressure from the lobbyists to make laws, which is good from a primary perspective. But he's also been endorsed by Elon Musk. I saw one of the interview where Elon Musk was introducing Vivek. So will that this kind of endorsement, early endorsement when he's nobody, will impact his decision making when it comes to the lithium and doing the mining, and so lot has to be seen. I'm just talking from an analyst perspective, but right now he's one of the very strong candidate who will take forward America and the world, because the way the corporate and the America has become corporate, and Vivek has been talking about the managerial class in all of his speeches, right? The way corporate is influencing our life. And I was mentioning before the start that I saw the movie Barbie. The same idea they have introduced in that movie, where this no, not in the Barbie. There was another program which I saw yesterday on the Netflix, which showed that the way future will be, the corporate will totally take over your credit history, will decide whether you can go to you can even rent a car, you can even buy a food, or you can do whatever. The way they are, we are falling into that trap is going to be a big impact. So this war is against humanity, if you see from a very philosophical perspective, and Vivek is definitely one hope, which will really help the voter base. He needs to reach out to a lot of people with these ideas. So that's my point of view.
Utsav ji, please continue.
So I think Vivek's biggest challenge going forward would be whether he can withstand the very people he's actually bringing a revolutionary idea against. For example, his whole conversation about reducing the FBI to one third of its size. That those are the challenges that he will have to live up to if he is ever close to power. And I think that's where he will face the biggest challenge from the state actors in this country. And I think Vivek will quickly realize, and he's probably even realizing now, because I have had conversations with his folks, and he's having trouble raising funds because the people who otherwise pour money into candidates from the deep state or through the the huge ecosystem of fundraising that most presidential candidates have, including Biden, they are shying away from him because they are afraid of his ideas. And that's a fantastic thing for most Americans who care, but that is not a good thing for Vivek, and he's going to keep facing those challenges going forward. But overall, I think what Vivek has been doing, what he has been saying, is a breath of fresh air. And as everybody pointed out before me, in every aspect that he has placed himself out there as a candidate, he has excelled. And what is even better is that so far, most candidates usually they find flaws in them. They find flaws in their economics, in their personal lives, in their morality. Of course, Trump was taken apart for all the things he said during his own personal life. But Vivek has so far stood up to that and has come unscathed, because I'm 100% sure that everybody's looking into his own life, whole life. And I think the worst they will find is him going to, camps with Hindutva people. And that is, I think, something he has himself acknowledged. I mean, that's one of the things that makes us so proud about him, that he's not afraid to talk about his past because
Yes.
he's proud of it. And so let's see what happens going forward. And I think he will have to really face the challenge when it comes to dissolving and dealing with institutions that are part of the deep state, or as it's projected in this country. They're extremely powerful. For him to take on the teachers union would be an extremely powerful challenge. And if he comes through it, nobody is a better deserving candidate to be the president than him.
True.
Very important points everyone has raised. Actually, the another argument which I see, which is coming very much online, the founding fathers were Christian. This is the topic raised by the right wing groups, extreme right wing groups, who want to not give a chance to Vivek to gain the funding of the conservative voters. Also, Democrats also. I think the Vivek's message is going across the party aisle, both left and right. Both Democrats are also supporting, and I think all after Tulsi Gabbard, and I think Vivek has done a much better job than even Tulsi Gabbard. But Tulsi Gabbard, after Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek is the first presidential candidate, and who has openly professed his faith and spoken about it, and merged his Hindu values, which align with the Native American values, which align with the most common values accepted by all religious groups in America. Every single religious group accepts those values, and his message has resonated with all communities. And I think that's the reason where the extreme right wing, who has been you can say, who has maintained that yes, America was conquered rightly, and the settlers displacing the Native American population has been done rightly. This is a right wing group, extreme right wing group, not mainstream. So the debate comes in, and I had to research here, were the founding fathers Christian? And I would tell you, my research on the Google and looking at multiple universities, most of them were not. And it was found as a religiously neutral state. And I can quote some articles here, and I can quote some because my information is as much public info sources as much as anyone else's. And after carefully studying everyone's views, it is very clear America was not founded as a Christian nation. And I think that's the reason of prosperity of America, where people from all religious backgrounds came here to make America what it is. Like the Indians contributed in the Germans contributed in the nuclear field, also engineering. Indians contributed in the information technology field and also continuing to do that. And now and other groups have also contributed. So Vibhuti Jhaji, please share your views on this topic. Were the founding fathers Christian?
You know, you know, we are drifting from Vivek's candidacy to American Constitution because of extreme nationalism. But one thing which is very interesting, as somebody pointed out to me, that the founding fathers were not Christians, and you are quite right in mentioning that, because they were all deists, and
Right.
they believed in deism, and deism believes in the fact that it is a philosophical position and rationalistic theology that generally rejects revelation as a source of divine knowledge. That's very important to bear in mind. So the important part here is that how Vivek will navigate this. So now we know that. This is a very important part. We know this element now, that he will have to overcome the extreme right wingers within his own party, so to say, right? Just as people have to overcome. But you very important point, I think somebody mentioned that, or you mentioned that yourself, that he has been very correct in his choice of words and his emotions and his strategic approach. He said this election is not about Democrats or Republicans. It is about America. He is not criticizing any of his primary candidates' challenges, but he's saying that I'm leading the country towards something. He has used a very powerful word, that he's trying to fill the hole in the hearts of people and the young people. Now that brings me to another issue. I mean, election will be in November 2024. The 23rd is the first debate. And, a lot of things will shape up at that point in time. But he also has very powerful support from people who are watching him. There are people who are watching him that, oh my God, this guy is really different because he brings solutions. And remember one thing, today's public, when he talks about the hole in the heart, when he talks about the challenges, people are tired of politics as usual. You look at the stage of Republican Party right now, all the candidates are politicians as always, attacking each other, but he is not attacking anyone. He's taking the country forward. But my thought as a strategy and tactic would be that play the game is a 19-month marathon that he has to run. You don't begin to sprint. So strategically, I would like to remind, taking the cue from what Utsaji was saying, that revamping FBI for that matter, he has come up with very direct solutions to the actual problems. I mean, to abolish Department of Education, transferring money from schools to, the choice part of the thing. This is what is important for people to realize, that, oh my God, this guy is talking sense. Nobody talks about. For example, he openly talks about Ukraine. We are going thousands of miles away to protect their territory, whereas our territory is being broken. He has very systematically reached out to Trump supporters by saying that he will take even more right of Trump stand in certain issues, right? So this, like Bill Clinton had said to Larry King in one of the interviews on Larry King Live, and I watched that, so I remember that very clearly, when he was accused of being a waffler. Clinton was always accused he waffles from one position to another. And Clinton, being Clinton, he gave a very nice explanation in his own tone. I can't imitate that. But he said, Larry, politics is not a movement in one straight line. It is going to the left and to the right. We have to do going forward, even if it is not in a straight line. So whatever and whoever fulfills your objective, that's what is important. And I think he's taking very bold steps. And I remember Chuck Schumer warning Trump that don't take intelligence agencies lightly, because they can cook you apart 6 ways from Sunday. This was the exact words of Chuck Schumer, advice to Donald Trump. So when Vivek takes such frontal attack on FBI and intelligence agencies, establishment, the swamp, he will have to kind of be careful, because he's not endearing himself to the PACs for funding. You were right that he doesn't get the institutional fund, so he's raising money from whatever source. So he's done that homework. So there is a lot of work he has to do on the strategy and tactics, and I think he's on the right track. His appeal, how long does it last? He must not, in my opinion, he must not expose his books right in the open, because as the saying goes, you can't play football, you can't play baseball with a cricket bat. So you're entering in to play baseball, get the baseball bat, and then play the game. And that's where I bring the sports analogy, that he has to play the game, because it is what it is, right? And he's a very sharp guy, he's an absolute breath of fresh air, challenging existing established wisdom, showing the path. And he's handled brilliantly the religious attacks on him, because he talked about values. And that is important. As one of you said, values in every religion is the same. Love your neighbor, help the poor, don't covet your neighbor's wife or whatever. And all those things are same everywhere. So what makes you and I different from anybody else? Thank you.
Desh Kapoorji, amazing. Vibhutiji, you're a good, very amazing contributor.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the way I see it is that nobody could have expressed the concept of the wall of separation between church and state if that person was so wedded to the church. So as Vibhutiji was alluding, right, there was the founding father, whether it was George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, or John Adams, they were all deists. They were not really Christian nationalists or evangelicals the way we see today, right? So they thought that church is a way of bringing people together, but they probably never thought that it was a religious edict that needed to be followed. So there was a difference between how they looked at it and how the subsequent commentators looked at what they had said. So that's one thing. And like in that, what Vibhuti ji was also saying, which is very significant, is that the way the intelligence agencies and all the other deep state agencies went after Trump, that same thing will happen with Vivek as well. The only good thing is that he has his own money and he has a head on his shoulders, which is fairly smart. So he knows how to use that and how to use his own money to fight this fight, which nobody else has the luxury of. I'm often reminded of how things were during the Roman era, when and the early Christian era, when the Catholic Church was so strong and the Protestants were coming in. There were orators who would go around like giving lectures and like bringing people to their own idea of things, an idea of church, an idea of religion, while they were fighting the might of the Catholic Church. And it was only on the power of the gentry or the citizens around there and the power of their ideas that they were able to challenge the strongest institution of that time. So there are a lot of lessons from that, and I think what we are seeing is like something like that, a challenge to the institutional church of the American politics, like not in the religious sense, some in religion sense, like religious sense, and some in the political sense. But like it is nevertheless a very over empowering, institution which goes across the entire spectrum of our lives. And that is why I was saying that America is a corporation really and not a country anymore, because what is happening is that it is being run for profit, and the interests and the groups that are there are not allowing it to go in any other direction. Just like Catholic Church was. I mean, that is also a corporation. Basically, that's not really a religious institution, and it like works in that manner. Whether it is fighting wars, whether it is backing Hitler, whether it is like backing the sex slavery and all those scandals and everything else, like it is a corporation in that sense. So I think there is a lot of similarities in how the change happened within Europe and how that was manifested in the US by the founding fathers, and what is happening today. So if Vivek can use the power of his ideas and his deep pockets to do what needs to be done, then that will actually change America in a very significant manner. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, Sharaji? Yeah.
आदित्य जी, आप दो तीन ऑब्जर्वेशन मेरा है. You brought a very good point regarding the church. So मैं अपने बुक से एक पैराग्राफ थोड़ा सा क्विकली पढ़ना चाहता हूँ. ये वाले से, the founders of America were products of enlightenment, if more of the Scottish variety than the French. Jefferson, जैसे कि विभूति जी ने बताया, was openly a deist, जो कि very much equivalent to what DMK of India is, DMK party of Tamil Nadu, जो कि rationalist theology को मानते हैं. तो जेफरसन जो फाउंडिंग फादर में एक थे, he was like that. Benjamin Franklin frequently invoked the language of religion, but rarely attended church and did not believe in the divinity of Christ. Nor did John Adams, a practicing Unitarian. सिर्फ एक जॉर्ज वॉशिंगटन who puts वो अपने एक फेयरवेल स्पीच में he said कि of all the disposition and habits which led to political prosperity of America, religion and morality are indispensable. तो कहने का सार ये है कि these are the founding fathers, but ये Caucasian हैं, ये गोरे हैं, ये white हैं. Let me be very blunt. Vivek Ramaswamy is not that. So Vivek cannot say whatever, because ये लोग बोल के निकल सकते हैं, Vivek नहीं निकल सकता है. And this is where, as an analyst, when I see Donald Trump, जो कि एक कैंडिडेट है इस इलेक्शन में, ही इज बीन ट्राइड सो दैट ही समहाउ ही इज स्टॉप नॉट टेकिंग पार्ट इन द इलेक्शन प्रोसेस. वेयर एज आप इंडिया में देखेंगे, सेम सेम एनालॉजी आप इंडियन एक अनदर डेमोक्रेसी पे लेके जाइए, तो राहुल गांधी हैज बीन ओकेड बाय आवर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया. He is back as an MP and he can fight an election and even run for Prime Minister of India, right? So you can see the contrast, right? America, जो है, and why I'm bringing India all the time is because I'm an analyst, and as a America as a country, जो कि पूरे world को dominate करता है in every respect, right or wrong, and it का in impact है. तो America, when it comes to self, it likes to believe in majoritarianism. It sees the person of color with suspicion, राइट. एंड बट इट टीचेस अदर्स कि भाई आप इंडिया में आप माइनॉरिटी को ऐसे ट्रीट करो, वैसे करो, ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ थिंग. एक अनदर इंटरेस्टिंग डायनामिक्स है, एंड दिस इज फॉर देश जी. आप चूंकि आपका दृष्टिकोण है, एक ये भी दृष्टिकोण मैं ऑब्जर्व कर रहा हूँ, लोगों ने पहले भी बोला है कि ब्लैक्स अमेरिकन जो कि खुद विक्टिम हैं, एंड विवेक ने एक टर्म यूज किया था, मैं भूल रहा हूँ. इट्स वेरी मच सिमिलर टू इथनोसेंट्रिज्म, बट एक टर्म उसने फिलोसफिकली यूज किया है कि जो ब्लैक जो सेल्फ विक्टिम है, सो कॉल्ड वाइट के फ्रॉम सो मेनी इयर्स, व्हेन इट कम्स टू देम ट्रीटिंग पीपल ऑफ कलर, जो कि इंडियन जो ब्राउन कलर, वो उनको हायरार्की में अपने से नीचे देखते हैं. एंड डैन लेमन और ब्रेकफास्ट क्लब और देर आर 7-8 such interviews which I have seen, run by the black centric anchors. And there was one lady on CNN जिसने रो खन्ना को बुलाया, and she had the balls to say that विवेक रामास्वामी हार्वर्ड में इसलिए गया क्योंकि उसको उसको he was beneficiary of what blacks were getting before सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उसके अगेंस्ट जजमेंट दिया. तो लोग इस तरफ से, इतने नाइव तो नहीं हो सकते हैं लोग, राइट? सिटिंग ऑन CNN एंकर रोल, 4-5 मिलियन का पैकेज ले रहे हैं, आईवी कॉलेज से पढ़े हुए हैं, ये सब नहीं है. ये स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड, दिस इज अ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन कि भाई आई एम. सो ये बेसिकली वही मॉडल फॉलो कर रहे हैं जो लेफ्टिज्म इंडिया में बोलती है कि एवरीथिंग जो उनके हिसाब से नहीं है वो ब्राह्मणिकल ऑर्डर है, वगैरह वगैरह. तो बहुत को रिलेशन है, एंड विवेक इज अ फेनोमेना विच आई एम ऑब्जर्विंग फ्रॉम बोथ इंडियन एंड इंटरनेशनल पर्सपेक्टिव एंड यूएस पर्सपेक्टिव, जो मुझे लग रहा है कि वो हर चीज जो जो वेस्ट हमें या वर्ल्ड को बताता है, और जो वेस्ट का जो फ्लैग बियरर काइंड ऑफ अ रोल है, उस सभी को अगेंस्ट वो काम कर रहा है. एंड विवेक विल बी वन फेनोमेना इफ ही एटलीस्ट गेट्स थ्रू द प्राइमरी, even if he doesn't get into the White House, he will be passing lot of statements जो world की direction decide करेगी future discussion में, whether country like India becoming a champion of the southern countries, और अमेरिका का जो खुद का जो practices है, like native का जो आदित्य जी आपने जो बहुत काम किया है, native के जो belief system है, इसको इसको उभारना. So Vivek is going to play a pretty good role, but he is not a Caucasian color. So when it comes to passing judgment on the church and all, he has to be very very careful, and that's what he's trying to do by correlating Judeo-Christian values with Sanatan values, right? So this is what I observe. Utsav ji, your viewpoints.
So I think what Vivek is trying to do, to put it very simply, and I think you all touched upon it, but to just try to make it concise and summarize it, he's trying to reinvent America in the 21st century in the vision of its founding fathers. So Vivek's harping back to America's founding fathers is not because of what they did and how it is relevant today. That is important to him because that's the origin point of America. Vivek's harping back to the founding fathers, in my opinion, is to bring about an understanding to people's minds that they were out-of-the-box revolutionary thinkers of their time who pushed the boundaries of governance and ideology outside the box for their time period. And he, by using them as an analogy and as a ideal to keep the nation under one flag, is trying to reinvent today's America in the most fairest, most logical, and the most rational way possible. And I think that has been his message in many ways most of the time. Now he will be, as Vibhutiji said, he can be taken down every day, 6 days from Sunday, every day. So he will face that, even if he's not in the White House, wherever he is, whatever he's doing, he will face that. Tulsi faced that. I mean, you have to understand that if you
Yeah.
remember during the previous presidential election debates, during the primaries, Tulsi took apart Vice President Kamala Harris, completely took her apart in every conversation she had on the debate stage. But look where Tulsi is today and where Kamala Harris is today. So Vivek will have to face those challenges. There is a very deeply ingrained system in America that is benefiting unfairly from what is going on, and they will not let him go just like that, because it's their power, it's their money that is under challenge here with Vivek's narrative. So he has the gift of articulation, he has the gift of rationality, and he has the gift of morality, as far as I can see so far. Let's see how far that takes him. And it's a breath of fresh air for our community, because
True.
as a community that has truly faced many of the topics that Vivek is currently talking about in the grassroots level, I think we as American Hindus have a lot of hope, and there are so many others outside our community that have a lot of hope from it.
No, actually, the national acceptability of Vivek Ramaswamy is one of the highest actually, because many people are not counted in polls. Also, the polls are also highly polarized. The polls are not taking into account Native Americans and also the spiritual America. People are not talking about it. So spiritual America is like Native American America, Hindu America, Yogi America. This is also America. And this is the America which is going to decide the future of this country. Nobody wants war. I am against war in any sphere. I want American interventionism to stop everywhere. Like we are going to fight in Niger, I totally oppose that. uh, the question now comes in, Vibhuti Jaji, the the is are the American mainstream bi-party system out of touch with the reality of America? And like analysts like Don Lemon and many others from the so-called minority communities, they have been most vocal in opposing Vivek Ramaswamy on the political sphere, and these are from Democrats. Some of them are Democrats. But the point is, why would they oppose a candidate which is speaking of values, not about politics? This guy is not talking about values, politics at all. And also he's taken, like you said, mentioned before, courageous steps, and you gave a good advice to Vivek Ramaswamy. If they're watching, they were invited, but they're watching. If they're watching, they can comment on it. So so Vibhuti Jaji, so what is the future of America with all this opposition by the mainstream media parties? And so far, the Muslim community has not stepped in. So far,
Well, you took the M word. We will all be declared phobic. So let's keep them aside for the moment, uh, because they will not matter in the preliminary. You and I, our votes and Muslim votes or every ethnic vote will not matter much in the primaries, because that's the Republican votes will matter more. But that attack has yet to come. वो भी मूर्ति पूजा पे हमला करेंगे, वो हिंदू को हमला करेंगे. It's a given. Let's not mince words on it, and it is their democratic right to do so. However, what you asked was a very important question, and my take is very simple. Vivek will face the onslaught, and I would put it this way, totally as a sportsman's analogy. You are playing a 90-minute game. Don't be in a hurry to bear open your entire approach at one time. For example, he has already defined the people that he has to attack, World Economic Forum included. And you know how deeply entrenched are these institutional frameworks. So you are a young businessman. you have one great thing going for you because you are speaking the right thing, you are doing the right thing, you have the ability to articulate, and you have no baggage. That's a very important thing for Vivek. At 37 years of age, he already said that his books are open. He has no tax evasion issues and the moral capacity, but his school speech, the valedictorian speech, demonstrated his wisdom and the clarity of mind. If those of you who listen to that, you see, he articulated the lessons of Bhagavad Gita so well in that speech. So he stands very strong in his mind, in his heart, and his makeup. And he believes the American values. So that's what is important. I personally feel, I mean, if I am frustrated since 1991, I have been seeing everybody wants to fix the problem, but nobody has fixed the problem. And I think everybody is tired of that. There was a particular moment in which one guy said, geez, this guy is a radical. I'm going to vote for him because he's talking about change. And change is always very painful. Remember that. This is something which we know as our corporate work we do. Change is the most difficult thing to happen. As we have a joke about it. Change is great so long as I don't have to, you do. So that's what we say. Everybody wants everybody else to change except myself. In this Vivek's case, he is bringing about that challenge that if you want to do, and I think the point was very well made, that he's trying to bring about the out of the box 1776, and he makes that mention actually, that we have to now think of the out of box solution to our current problems as it exists. And he has solutions. So I wish him well. I definitely wish him well. And I always say to my son, he's similar age to Vivek's. So I said that, listen, guys, you have all the information and tools that are available because of technology. But it will take you 30 years to have 30 years of experience. So use those people like us as a resource, not as reference point, but use us as a resource, because there is an experience that we bring about to the table that is not available for free. That's all I'll say. Thank you. Hello?
Desh Kapoor ji, please.
Sure. So when I look at this coming elections, it is very, very interesting, right? So 3 indictments have been brought against Trump. The idea is they want to shut down Trump because he has such an overwhelming lead against the Democrats as well as anybody else in the entire race. So if Trump remains there, Trump will win definitely. Now, a lot of people who support Trump have already started saying that if Trump is not there, then the other person that they would vote for is Vivek. Now, think of it. Biden and the rest of the deep state is actually fighting a fight against Trump. If they win, they will lose again. And the way they lose is because Vivek will become the front runner very, very quickly because he'll inherit everything that Trump has garnered for himself. And he will also bring in the undecided people who are sitting on the fence, not really Republican, centrist kind of people as well. And some even leftists who are leftists or at least Democrats, but not woke. Even they will come behind him. So, in my view, and if they lose, if the Democrats lose in lose a fight to actually shut down Trump, then they lose the elections anyway, because Trump will win if he's there in the race. It'll be a very, very difficult fight for these folks. So Vivek has taken a very smart position of he'll win if Trump wins. He'll also win, and even bigger, if Trump loses this fight of indictment. So in that sense, he's already creating the right narrative that needs to be created, and he's positioning himself in the right place to actually benefit going forward. So I think it's. Despite the fact that all the intelligence agencies and everybody else will go after him, he still has the power of positioning that is unmistakable. It is going to be very, very tough for the Democrats and specifically Biden to win this, elections. If Trump actually if Trump is shut down, then there could be a much larger groundswell, against the Democrats, much larger groundswell than we realize. What happened on Jan 6th, the way actually, Vivek puts it, was because of the resentment against the censorship of the state. And he's very right in the way he's actually putting everything, in those words. And he also is on record to say that what happened on Jan 6th would seem like a walk in the park if this entire censorship goes on, and it can, if it manifests in the indictment of Trump and all those things. Because I really fear that if Trump is actually indicted and shut down, there might be a situation of civil war. And the only thing that could save is if that entire groundswell and anger is diverted to back Vivek up as a president. So what we are going to see is going to be a very dynamic period between now and the elections of how our different parties play their role. And if it'll be a very great blessing within America if we escape that civil war type situation if Trump is actually put down in terms of political power. So those are my thoughts.
Sharaji?
Yes. तो आई थिंक विभूति जी एंड देश जी ने काफी अच्छे से सब कुछ कवर कर लिया है, तो कुछ बचा नहीं। तो मैं ये सोच रहा हूँ कि मैं ये ऐड करता हूँ कि विवेक रामास्वामी का इम्पैक्ट ऑन द इंडियन अमेरिकन, एंड मुझे लगता है कि एज अ कम्युनिटी बहुत राइट टाइम पे व्हेन इंडिया is rising, Indian Americans, they are rising, and the second generation, third generation kids are going to college and schools. इनको एक बहुत बड़ा रोल मॉडल मिल रहा है। अब वो रोल मॉडल वो मिल रहा है जो अपने आइडेंटिटी को लेके अपने 18 साल की उम्र से 37 साल के उम्र तक कंसिस्टेंट रहा है, कंसिस्टेंट विदाउट एनी इफ एंड बट। This is where I think ये from the community perspective is a big thing. Right now, however hard we try, our kids were learning a lot of things. They used to they know Bhagavad Gita, they know um, Gayatri Mantra and all those things. But जब वो अपने कलीग को फेस कर रहे हैं और कलीग जब डोमिनेट कर रहा है डिस्कशन में, मोस्ट ऑफ देम शाई अवे और कीप क्वाइट। टिपिकल सनातन ये कि हम दूसरे को ऑफेंड क्यों करें, ठीक है। विवेक ने उसको एक एक बहुत बड़े प्लेटफॉर्म पे एक एक उसको एक वॉइस दिया है। इसका इम्पैक्ट इस कम्युनिटी पे बहुत पॉजिटिव होगा, बहुत अच्छा होगा। दूसरा पॉइंट ये मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ कि ये जो यूरोपियन कॉलोनियलिज्म था और अभी तक है, एंड आई वाज टॉकिंग टू फ्यू ऑफ माय फ्रेंड्स इन इन यूरोप, दे सेइंग कि ऑफिशियली यूरोपियन कंट्रीज ने हिंदुइज्म को रिलीजन के रूप में अभी तक माना भी नहीं है। दे नॉर्मली इनका या इवन अमेरिका में हम लोग लास्ट ईयर में शायद हम लोग इसी डिबेट पे कभी बात कर रहे थे सैटोलॉजी के किसी और सेक्शन में, जहाँ पे मैंने ये बोला था कि यहाँ के जूरिस्प्रूडेंस, यहाँ के जो 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 लॉज है, उसमें हिंदुइज्म वर्ड को यूज भी नहीं किया है। और 10 लाख लोग, 20 लाख लोग यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी ऑफिशियली, या 30 लाख लोग ऑलरेडी ऑफिशियली हैं, एंड वाइस प्रेसिडेंशियल कैंडिडेट हैं, सब कुछ है। कॉर्पोरेट में हम लोग ने यहाँ के लिटरली रूल किया है, फ्रॉम अ रिप्रेजेंटेशन परस्पेक्टिव, राइट, जितना पॉपुलेशन उसके हिसाब से अगर कंपेयर करेंगे। आप हमारे हिंदुइज्म को रिलीजन भी नहीं मान रहे हो ऑफिशियली अपने अपने लीगल सिस्टम में, और हियर इज अ गाय जो व्हाइट हाउस में एज अ हिंदू कैंडिडेट अपने आप को डिक्लेयर करके उसके लिए इलेक्शन लड़ा। इज अ वेरी वेरी बिग थिंग। काफी कुछ परसेप्शन चेंज होगा, काफी कुछ बुक्स करेक्शन होंगे, एंड एंड अगर बाय चांस ये बन जाता है व्हाइट हाउस में प्रेसिडेंट, तो ऋषि सुनाक, विवेक रामास्वामी और मोदी, राइट, the entire narrative of Times magazine or वगैरह will change जब three सिमिलर फेथ के लोग वॉट एवर उनका कंट्री हो राइट जब ये तीनों इतने पावरफुल कंट्री को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं और वो सिस्टम को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं जो जो कभी वर्ल्ड को रूल किया है इन इन अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम रॉन्ग वे जो यूके का कॉलोनिज्म हो या अमेरिका का वॉर टाइप का सिचुएशन हो सपोर्टिंग डिक्टेटर्स इन ऑल दी आई वोंट यूज विभूति जी के शब्दों में आई वोंट यूज द एम वर्ड बट सारे डिक्टेटर्स को जिस तरह से सपोर्ट किया है और अभी भी कर रहे हैं राइट विच इज टोटली अगेंस्ट द अमेरिकन लिबर्टी एंड ऑल ये बहुत बड़ा मैसेज जाएगा एंड एज अ कम्युनिटी आई एम सो प्राउड एंड दिस इज हाउ आई सी दिस इवेंट वो हारे या जीते अलग बात है बट ही हैज गिवन अस अ वॉइस जो कि इसका इम्पैक्ट बहुत बहुत होने वाला है थैंक यू
उत्सव जी।
देखिए, देश जी ने, विभूति जी ने और शरद जी ने तो पूरा मोरलेस कवर कर दिया है। मेरा सिर्फ यही बोलना है आखिरी में कि विवेक has already made the difference that needs to be made. Tulsi made being a Hindu in politics cool. Vivek made being a Hindu in politics not just cool, but also successful and profitable. And he's making it as we speak. So I think this will bring about the minimum change that will bring about is that there is going to be a whole new generation of Americans of Hindu background who will not shy away from calling themselves Hindus. It will give a lot of confidence to even current Hindu leaders. When I speak to current Hindu American lawmakers, they squeak their Hinduness in closed rooms as if it's a sin to do so. And looking at Vivek, they will actually not do that anymore. If you notice, when Vivek was targeted, Raja Krishnamurti and Rokhanna actually tweeted in support of him and his Hinduness. So already change dikhna shuru ho gaya hai. 5 years ago, you could not get Raja or Rokhanna to talk about their Hinduness as much as they are talking about Vivek's Hinduness today. So the change is happening. It is going to bring about a bigger change in the next generation. And I think that is going to be the lasting impression, the least lasting impression that Vivek will already have left for us. And of course, the sky is the limit. If he becomes the president, I think the point that Deshji made, that if Trump is taken down, the person that is closest to him in representing his values, in representing his out-of-the-box thinking, and in representing his non-state, deep state allegiance is Vivek. So, and the way we are seeing Trump being taken down, I think Vivek has rightly placed himself in being non-critical of Trump. And he has done that from the beginning. DeSantis has more often than not represented himself as a contrast to Trump in many ways, closer to the establishment within the Republicans. Vivek has not done that. So I can see that if Trump really goes down, Vivek could be the person who can represent the things that Trump stood for when he was in office. And there were many things that people were impressed by. It is unfortunate that Trump is not in the office anymore. And it would be fantastic to see Vivek and Biden go head to head. A 38-year-old, extremely articulated brown guy who speaks his mind versus, 60-something, or should I say 80-something, whatever, year-old who barely finds his way across the stage. Let's see what happens.
So let's take the questions now. Many questions have come in. Heisenberg says hello, and if he's still watching, Vivek and RFG look purple, others are super red blue. That's true. He has taken a very centrist position. And Nina says he has my vote. Vimal Kumari says Jai Shri Ram. And Janardhan Singh says Sanatan, actually Hinduism, stop calling it Hinduism, called Hindu culture, Vedic culture, because ism means temporary, can be changed, and it's not real. Like Christianism is, people may not like it, and Judaism, people may not like it. So Hindu culture is a better word. Plurality of ways, that's true, and our values align with the most of the native populations as well. We have Indik Leela rightly said, and then we have Nina ji Okay, anyway, this question was different. क्या यूएस में प्रेसिडेंट को शपथ बाइबल से दिलाया जाता है? It depends on the candidate generally. So candidate can choose whether they want to take oath on Bhagavad Gita, any religious text they believe in. It doesn't matter. United States did not have a religious minority from its formation. Other religious minorities in last 50, 60 years, unlike India, which has this diversity since centuries. By the way, India doesn't have a religious minority. India has a religious Indian religions cover everything. Bhagavad Gita covers all religions generally. Nina cannot contribute to any political party, but he has contributed to Vivek's fundraiser. Vote for him. That's true. Dark Prince says, just let America go down the drain. Well, we don't support that. We all go down. Uh, America can't be reformed. It's got deep structural problems. Uh, and another question. So, if you have any questions, you can write here.
I just wanted to add here one
Yes,
one
please.
thing, Aditya ji, is that,
Yes.
you know, candidates emerge, right? He is a candidate for president, and who happens to be a Hindu, who happens to be naturally tanned, right? He who happens to have a name called Vivek Ramaswamy. Cut across all of this, how do you find Vivek Ramaswamy as a candidate for presidency? That's the narrative that needs to go forward. And that's where Vivek is doing an outstanding work, that he's defining himself as a candidate who is also a Hindu and whose values align with whatever values that we are talking about here. And I think as a candidate, he's scoring very well. That some fringe elements or some strong elements on both sides of the aisle will be after him is a given. That's a battle. You know, it will be very interesting to see indeed the battle between an 80-year-old Biden and a 38-year young man. That would be absolutely awesome to see. But I would put it this way, that, you know, Vivek has a great shot, and he has positioned himself as a Trump supporter, as a MAGA guy, with a yes we can attitude. So I think he's riding the great narrative. He needs support. I wouldn't say that he doesn't have. He has tremendous amount of support coming from. And Democratic Party wants to finish Trump, don't want, but there is a very strong alternative to Trump. And Trump supporters will be delighted that there is Vivek. Thank you. That's my closing statement.
So this question was directed at Desh Kapoor ji, and but anybody can answer also. But Desh Kapoor ji would like to have the first take on this. So if
Yeah. So, like, I think he's already ahead of Nikki Haley. As far as DeSantis is concerned, he's going down in his entire trajectory. And in some of the polls, actually, in the like in the polls, especially on the betting side, at the betting sites that we have, he's already ahead of DeSantis. So in that sense, if the field opens up, if Trump is set aside, there are already people who are saying that the entire Trump supporter group will like move towards Vivek, because he's the only one who's articulating the same things, but in a more stringent and more stronger, like actually a stronger manner. So in that sense, I don't see that he will be a VP. If Trump wins, then he may be a VP. But if Trump is set aside, then he is the president. There's no doubt about that in my mind.
anyone would like to add to it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I would like to say that there is no comparison between Vivek and Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley has placed herself over the last 8 years as the representative of the part of the Republican Party that is very deeply connected to the establishment. And she continues to do that. Uh, she has many redeeming qualities, no doubt about it. But she is not going to be in any way a challenge to Vivek Ramaswamy, as I can see going forward. The only challenge from within the Republican Party I see to Vivek Ramaswamy is Trump. and obviously the Democrats are hell bent on taking Trump down. So I don't see the Vivek facing too many challenges. Uh, Trump, I don't know how he's gonna not be the done candidate because he's so popular, and he's gonna continue to be more popular if the administration keeps going after him, as he's playing the victim card very well. But let's see what happens.
So I'll also add to this. तो आतिश मुखोपाध्याय जी, बड़ा अच्छा नाम है आपका, मुखोपाध्याय। आपको पता होना चाहिए कि जो डोनाल्ड ट्रंप की जो केस लड़ रही है, जो जज जो सुन रही हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, वो भी इंडियन अमेरिकन है, मिस एम उपाध्याय, नॉट मुखोपाध्याय बट उपाध्याय। दैट्स अ ट्रिविया। So now coming to जो देश जी से प्रश्न पूछा गया, मेरे ख्याल से विवेक ने भी ये प्रश्न का उत्तर अपने एक इंटरव्यू में दिया है। विवेक सेज कि वो बेस्ट तभी परफॉर्म करता है जब वो सेकंड नहीं हो। तो एज अ वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ही विल नॉट बी राइट कैंडिडेट। और मुझे भी लगता है कि अमेरिकन सेटअप में वाइस प्रेसिडेंट का कोई रोल होता नहीं है, वो इंडिया नहीं है। सो इधर प्रेसिडेंट आप बनते हो या आप फॉरेन मिनिस्टर बनते हो, जो कि एंथनी ब्लिंकन जो रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं, और हिलरी क्लिंटन ने जो रोल प्ले किया था। तो वो एज इक्विवेलेंट एंड पावरफुल होते हैं एज अ प्रेसिडेंट। सो अगर ट्रम्प प्रेसिडेंट बनते हैं तो विवेक विल प्ले दैट रोल जो हिलरी ओबामा के समय में प्ले कर रही थी, एंड दैट शुड बी हिज राइट बेस्ड ऑन हिज स्टेचर, और जो उसने बनाया है ही शुड प्ले दैट रोल rather than being a non-active candidate of a vice president. निकी हेली हो, चाहे रिपब्लिक डेमोक्रेट पार्टी के रो खन्ना हो, या इवन जयपाल हो, इंडियन अमेरिकन के पास चॉइस नहीं है। हम तो चाहेंगे कि हमारे कम्युनिटी के लोग इरेस्पेक्टिव, इवन दो वी फेस लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम विद द डेमोक्रेट इंडियन अमेरिकन, बट वी नीड फ्रॉम अ रिप्रेजेंटेशन परस्पेक्टिव कि ये संख्या और बढ़े, एंड आई विल सपोर्ट दैट। एंड वन लास्ट थिंग आई वांटेड टू ऐड इज, विवेक ने खुद ही बोला है कि ही इज नॉट रनिंग फॉर बिकमिंग अ पास्टर इन चीफ, ही इज रनिंग टू बिकम अ चीफ ऑफ द स्टाफ। सो उसको बार बार आपको एक प्रश्न क्यों पूछ रहे हैं कि आपका धर्म क्या है, धर्म क्या है, धर्म क्या है? दैट्स इट, आदित्य जी।
So the last question we're taking, and people can become a member and subscribe and like and share, because your likes determine how many people see on YouTube. Uh, if America gets a Hindu president, then can it bring a change in Canadian political state as well?
I just think that from the Canadian, there's a fundamental difference between how the Canadian top politics works and the pressures that they have versus the American, right? In the Canadian politics at the highest level, the Khalistanis have become extremely strong. Extremely strong. It will be very, very tough to actually beat them back. So, if any change has to come, then things have to change fundamentally, like within Canada, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. So it'll take some time.
So thank you all the panelists. Vibhutiji, any closing lines, please?
I would say that fight on. It is it's a marathon. Don't run like a sprint. That's what I want to suggest to Vivek. The enthusiasm, his guts, his courage is showing up very well. That there is a strategically speaking, he must ration his rum and pace his race, both with reference to issues as well as going ahead full blast. So he's doing a great job as of now, and he's addressing all the questions very great. And I agree. I don't recall exactly who said that. Nikki Haley and others are not a match. But what I suspect that on the debate table, they will attack him. The people who have qualified, he has one big vote opportunity, and that is the millennial vote, the young people's vote, because he represents them. He speaks their language. He understands their fear. He understands their concerns. He's totally clued in there. He goes to places where no Republican dares to go. Think about it from that perspective. So he's creating a coalition which is very strong. Good luck, Vivek.
So you will meet the entire panelists here, the 5, in San Diego on August 25 and 26. So please be here. You can meet Vibhuti Jhaji, who will be moderating the panels at Aligned International University, and we represent all different groups. We have Hindu Action Group here. We have Pandit Sharad Mohanji. We have Desh Kapoorji from all parts of USA, and Jaipur Dialogues, a partner of the Lit Fest, San Diego Sattology Lit Fest. So Krishna Lit Fest. We're celebrating Krishna Janmashtami. All of us, you will be here. Plus, Wall Street Journal bestsellers will be here. Dave Corbin, and many other names, including ex-Attorney General of Nevada, will be there. George Chenos, who also represents Native Americans, also, and who will be also here, plus Native American chiefs. So please do join the Lit Fest and see the common voice of Americans, and with Sanatan Dharma values. So if you don't have any questions, so I'll stop this show right now, and I welcome you to like, share, subscribe, and also do join Jaipur Dialogues, do join Desh Kapoor Drishtikon, do join Utsav Chakrabarti in Hindu Action, and do join Sharad Mohanji from Tennessee. You can meet him in Tennessee, in that part of the world. So with that, namaste, thank you, Jai Shri Ram.